Well, Alexandra, she had been, we knew she had struggled with reading for a while. And she had been told that, she had a learning disability within reading. We had tested her many times. We even asked whether she had specifically dyslexia, and they kept saying that she didn't. So she would do, therapy or different things at school. But fast forward a few years later, when she got into middle school, she was at a new school because the school ended, and now she moved into a new school that started in middle school. And she was really, really struggling. And she was very frustrated. She's a person that has always loved reading, even when she had a hard time. And so that's when we decided that we needed to look further and see what else we could do. And we started looking at different reading programs and really focus on the reading part of things and look at reading programs, do a reevaluation again. And we looked at a variety of places, but actually the Maydus were the ones that had heard of Redwood. And they had mentioned that it was an up and coming school that focused specifically in dyslexia. Well, at the time we thought Alexandra didn't have dyslexia. So I thought, well, this might not even be for her. But we decided to give it a chance. And that's when we decided to maybe look into a summer program. But basically she was really struggling at school. She came home frustrated, and, she went from loving to go to school to really dreading going to school, not feeling good enough. She worked really hard, and yet it wasn't enough. Would you want to add to that?
Yeah, it was really hard, and I didn't want to go to school anymore.
And that's what led us to go and actually starting in the summer program. And when we were at the summer program, that we thought would just be that, and then we would research all summer and figure out what we could do to get her ready for her next middle school, to prepare her for high school. That's when I think you all recommended, saying, I think it was Kate maybe said, I bet you she actually has dyslexia. And so we pursued that, and we finished the summer program, and really truly in just the summer, it was so good for her that's when we then did the neuropsych evaluation. Surely enough, she did. She had a hard time with that, meaning the label at the moment. But she, fast forward, she overcame that in great part because of you. But that's really what led us. It was the struggle that she was having in school and the huge shift that we saw in her not being able to keep up.
Catherine, we knew there was probably, I'm dyslexic and her sister is, so we kind of knew that there was a learning disability somewhere in there. She was being pulled out of class since first grade, maybe even some in kindergarten, in her public school, and she was missing a lot of in class with the kids and stuff. So then we tried a Montessori, and that was good, but academically it was still not helping her. And we had neuropsych done by a Dr. Tall, who was great at recommending you guys and said something as new as starting up. So we literally walked into the Montessori school, said she's leaving, and left 5 days later, I believe, and joined you guys. So went there and watched her grow. She enjoyed being with different kids, and kind of what she learned, what the advantages and disadvantages were with dyslexia and other things, how to use tools around her. And I think that was huge. And having relationship with the people that have some of the same things that she's going through. It's hard when you don't have other people going through it and they don't understand what is going on and how Catherine has learning differences from other people. So that was a huge thing for us to even change in the middle, because it was our second school. But then once we got there, we had a huge growth that we never expected. So
yeah, because I remember, I think it was on when I was touring the school for the first day, it just opened up and everything. And literally 5 days later, we were like, hey, can we come next week? Can I just join next week? And we just joined. And it's a decision that I definitely do not regret.
Well, we thought we were only going to do the summer program. But then we ended up deciding that, to do the school year. And honestly, it is the best. I get emotional about it, but it is the best decision we've ever made for Alexandra. And she has grown, honestly, leaps and bounds. I cannot rave enough about this school because it really has been just life-changing for her. Not only did she learn about, so she got the label that she's dyslexic, which was great because now she knows what she's working with. But not only did she learn the tools to help her improve her reading, that she has grown so much to make her really successful now at school, but also she learned what you actually dedicate time in the program to talk about what's dyslexia, what does it mean, the definition of it, who famous has had it, all these different important details that now she's proud of it. She's comfortable with it. She has no negative connotation to it. She knows how to advocate for herself. That's on top of the fact that she also is obviously getting these important skills to be able to better read and write. And so it's honestly, for us, it's been life-changing. And I think, I'm sorry?
The challenge, I think you're right. The challenge of it changed to kind of like the superhero, or now we can understand and help other people because they feel comfortable in their skin. And then when you feel comfortable in your skin, then the self-esteem comes. And then with self-esteem, you can go so much further. And I think as parents, life comes easier, and you have a smile, a huge smile and gratefulness because you can see the self-esteem and the pain going away. Self-esteem's coming up, and the pain and the challenge of school and being scared or not wanting to go to school. That Redwood did that for Catherine, totally. Yeah. And independence. She learned independence.
I feel like a lot of because now day of age, a lot of the assistive technology things we've learned, like there's so many different programs you can use and different strategies throughout technology that are very helpful. And, because now we have to do Zoom and everything, it's very beneficial.
Like go slow, take time, and like advocate more.
There's a lot of the outside of the Wilson skills, she uses a lot of the assistive technology skills that they taught her that are huge. So audiobooks, when she started high school, she right away asked for that information. She talks about going slow and all these different things. She really does the dictation, all these tools that she wasn't really aware of or used before, she now uses readily.
Catherine now explains and shows me technology that helps me because of some of the apps that you guys have explained that I didn't know of. And I seem to be giving more information to other parents and saying, oh, well, here's this app. So that's been very helpful.
Probably just meeting different people from the Chicagoland area. And also just like bonding with people and meeting them.
Meeting like new people and like getting to have like a lot of new friends. That was awesome. And like going on the field trips and like learning something new.
You love learning hands-on on Fridays when you went to the field trips? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I feel like you need to know that if you attend Redwood, you'll get to learn more about yourself and like the way you learn. And I'm going to say this for me, but it's not for everyone. But I think most of the people I've noticed there's more confidence in your work because I learned this way. Or like you're getting that support and you're getting people who actually know, your learning styles. So you can become confident in your work. So you can be like, oh, I'm good at this. And it's not that like you were not ever bad at the work. You just didn't, get it taught to a certain way.
Actually, that was another thing for me. I don't know if it was for Esther, but for me, it was also this community of parents, even if we didn't see each other much or there was the support that you guys could give. I felt like that was big because you have this feeling to help your child. You don't know where to go, and having these other parents to say, okay, we're going through the same thing. That was huge for me. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I got that any other place, even when Catherine had IEPs at other places, I didn't tap into that, but I don't even think it was there as strong as it is at Redwood for the community of parents.
Me, and in my case, I debated it because Alexandra was going to be the oldest. It was a small classroom environment at the time. I know you have more students now. It was the absolutely best decision that I ever did for my child. She ended up only being there a year and a half again because she was older and she was, going to be aging out of it and having to go to high school. But thankfully, we caught it in time that she was able to spend that quality time there. And so, if we're considering it all, I think it will. You'll see your child growing leaps and bounds. And I still get emotional over it because it's been that impactful for her in just her quality of life overall. Not only because the academics were so important for her to continue to grow and achieve the goals that she had for herself, that others told her that she was not going to be able to attain, but now she does, and like Jennifer says, very independently. I'm very hands-off with her at school, but all the confidence that she got from what she learned about what dyslexia means and is, and she can explain it if somebody comes to her, the advocacy tools, just the assistive technology tools that I didn't know about that she can now use herself to help herself in school are fantastic. So I would say, if you're considering it, for me, was the best decision that we ever did for Alexandra.
Look at the growth of your school. If something's good, it's going to grow. If it's, you're not going to have the numbers that you have because you're subpar. You guys are excellent and your standards are high. And you're reaching all different levels. And one thing is for Redwood, even when you guys started out, you guys would listen to the parents and take that concern and make adjustments. So parents they don't have control or anything, but if they have concern, they work together with the teacher, and the teacher's there to work with the child. One thing that I found, and I even had in Catherine's IEP before, her tutor would come 5 days a week and also was an IEP teacher at another school. And I kept explaining, no, this child's very stressed out, upset when she gets in the car. I would pick Catherine up at school and she would cry every day in the car. So we got a tutor or a pair. I would have the au pair pick her up. So that way she'd calm down before she got home. But she was so stressed at school and so upset, and she kept herself put together that the school had no idea. And they're like, no, I think she's just, she sees you. And it's kind of like preschool, right? They're trying to make you feel guilty. And when she was in 3rd grade, you're not going to have that. That's not what that child's doing. That child is not going to play that kind of game with you. But she was so overwhelmed at school, and it happened constantly. And even though I tried to talk through different ways, it didn't matter. It was so hard for her and hard for us. So when she was getting in the car and still talking about what she learned, that was huge, because you went from someone crying for 2 years, majority of the time getting in the car, to jumping in the car and saying, here's what I learned today. And you can't, that's priceless. You can't do that. And for you guys to do that in just 2 years, where you just had other teachers saying, well, her self-esteem is low, we're going to try this. What am I going to do? I'm a parent. I'm trying to give her as much as I can, but I don't know anything about that situation at the time. And you guys gave us as parents the tools to give our children that. So you didn't just give the tools to the kids, you gave them to us to help the kids. It was a team. It's a team effort with you guys. And that's what's huge, I think, as well. So yeah.
Before, I was a hard worker, but I wasn't great with my grades, and I didn't really like it. And then after, I felt really great, and I'm getting straight A's and B's right now, and I never expected that I would be getting those grades.
I will say, just to add on to what Alexandra's saying, she always knew the value of hard work. She always worked really hard, and she always liked learning. It was always harder for her. But it wasn't until after she started Redwood that, oh my gosh, you could see such a big difference from the before and after. She got to the point where I said she was so frustrated at school. She would come home defeated. What she was doing wasn't good enough. She was misunderstood because the school wasn't equipped to understand Alexandra at the moment. And After fast forward after Redwood now, I mean, she knows her tools. She knows what to do. She's more confident. The hard work pays off for her. I mean, she's so successful. I get notes from school all the time about how prepared she goes. And, you know, so she's not, I think that frustration, that word frustrated and the defeated, I just don't see that anymore. It was used to break my heart. Now I'm just so happy for her because it's just lighter, it's less frustrated, because now she has these tools that, you know, that help her be successful. So she can apply that hard work, but now in a way that is effective and efficient for her academics. So it honestly, every day I'm just so grateful.
Catherine, so she's going to the new school, getting ready to go to school, and she's already emailed the teachers twice before she's even gone about questions. And I found that was amazing, because she didn't get that from me. She got that from you guys. And she replies faster than I do to emails for them. And so I was impressed with that, because before she would never email or advocate for herself. So that was impressive, because she's trying new things and she doesn't have fear. She wanted to start doing golf, and she's always done acting. And I said, you want to do golf? And she's like, yeah, can you sign me up for golf lessons? So she's trying new things, and she knows it's okay not to be great at something and to try. So that's a huge, I see her use stuff all the time that I'm like, okay, that was Redwood, that wasn't me. So she even she talked to someone who the other day who had some difficulties in school, and she talked to him about how she felt, and made them feel better, because she knows how it feels to not be around people who understand what she's going through. So yeah.
I can speak to that, because since we had, you know, like Jennifer had talked about, you know, looking at schools, I always took really seriously, since we had some, you know, good decisions and bad decisions. And when Alexandra was going into high school, and we had chosen already then to have 1 year at Redwood. We had the summer, then 1 year at Redwood, and then from there we're going to look at high school. I will say the transition was fantastic. I had so much help from the entire Redwood team. Not only in, you know, at the end of the year, you get your summary and how she was doing, and recommended, you know, the recommendations for accommodations for schools, but also I was looking into, we weren't just going to choose the public school down the street, which we considered, and it may have been the best, but I wanted to look at that and also potentially look at other schools and then decide which one would be the best for Alexandra, depending on a variety of reasons. And that process can be very overwhelming, but actually with Redwood, it was a lot less, and it was really, really helpful to have, for example, Becky, all of you really participated. And that was really, really excellent. So I can't, and finally, we did make the decision at the very end of the day with the help and the involvement of Redwood, and the information you were able to provide with regards to Alexandra as a student, the questions that I had that you were able to answer, et cetera, et cetera. So the transition was excellent. And to this day, we do use all the recommendations. And at the end of the day, the school that we ended up deciding worked out that it was a perfect fit for Alexandra. So, I mean, to the point where, you know, the team actually went to meetings when I wanted to go, because I wanted to make sure it was the best for Alexandra. So for the public school, or even for where Alexandra ended up at Goldlands Academy, I mean, Becky attended, and she was there to be able to answer questions. She had many private conversations with me, so she could answer questions for me after she heard, you know, what I learned, et cetera. So I will say the transition was excellent. She was definitely ready and prepared, and we had good recommendations as to what to do while she was in high school, and before high school, like during that summer. And to this day, as you know, she started doing 3 days a week with somebody from Redwood. This case is Shelly. And then, although, you know, obviously it has changed. And then you recommended that she go down to 2 days a week. And so, and that actually has been fantastic. And I'm happy that we have continued that. So that has continued to help her increase her, you know, her reading capabilities and academic capabilities.
We actually live in a school district that people move to just to have IEPs and have our education. listen, we have a great school district and great with the kids who need it. However, it just didn't work with Catherine, and we were struggling. And I kept saying, no, we're in a great school district. You know, we pay these taxes, and she was hurting. She will look back. We were going through stuff during COVID, and she didn't want to see any of her photos, any of your work from those days when she was at that school. She tossed away the photos. She tossed away the artwork. She blocked out all this pain. It wasn't until Redwood, now she remembers things, and she has friends, and she understands that she's not put in this corner and so different from everyone. Because when you're around all these kids and you see everybody else, you know, what you see, everyone else is going fast and getting stuff done, and they understand it, and you just lost and transitioned the whole entire situation. And the teachers didn't have the skills to teach her, although here's the difference. If you go to a school that teaches Wilson, which ours did, but they might just go get a credit for a little bit, or they don't have the full understanding of how to teach all of that. So Catherine did have Wilson, but it wasn't taught at the level that Redwood was. And I think the fund to teachers, it was not any close to the education that she's getting at the private school, to Redwood, to the public school. Public school said, yeah, we're doing Wilson and that'll help. Okay. And at first when Redwood said they're doing Wilson, she's already been doing it. But I took trust in the neuropsych that said it, and we needed help desperately, because I didn't know what's going to happen. What am I going to do with this child who doesn't like school, who is, you know, when you don't have self-esteem, you never know what tunnel you're going to go down. And you're depressed, and we didn't know what to do. So when we went to Redwood and they said they had did Wilson, I was a bit worried, but no, it was the way the teaching's done as well. That's a huge thing. So you guys had the teaching of Wilson, you had the resources, the understanding that you can be different, and they knew how to explain it better. So I think you may have heard Wilson and it might have not helped, but it's implemented in a stronger, better way. And you also have the support of the teachers helping the parents understand it, and also the parents who've already gone through it come together. So you have this complete support staff when you're at your darkest days, because you just don't know what to do. I think, like Astrid said, you're looking at schools and you're thinking, okay, this will be the right school for this. Well, we've been to schools that don't understand what the kids are going through, because I remember even at the Montessori, it was great, but they're like, well, she doesn't understand this. She's not applying herself. No, she's applying herself so much and overthinking it that she's exhausted when she comes home, and she's so nervous because you're not teaching in a way and she's trying to understand a way that you're teaching it. And that's a huge thing that you guys understand. Every kid is different, and that's what you guys understand.
The way you go about it, I will say, is very comprehensive. Even when you look at the curriculum and they break down the day, and it really is very comprehensive process that helps the whole child overall, not just with the reading portion of things, which was the priority for us at the end of the day, if that makes sense. And I think that's why our kids were so well benefited by it.
She loves Wilson and teachers there so much that I said, well, if you want, you can take off the summer because we have a lot of other things going on. And she would not even crack on Wilson. So that was a huge surprise to me, because I said, well, okay, we can, move some things around, but no, I want to stay with Wilson. That's just to show how great the staff is. When you have a child who you say you don't have to do it and they want to stay there, well, something must be going right on the teacher's side, because that shocked me. And she was complaining about having summer school. And then when I said, okay, we can take these classes out, no. So that was really funny to me. That's how much she likes Redwood. I don't know. She might be coming to visit you guys during college and learning something new or something. I don't know. But yeah, she won't leave you guys totally. The umbilical cord is still there. So
Catherine has been, studying and continuing to move on her studies, but now she's going to high school. Like Alexandra just did her first year before Catherine. And I told her, wait until you see. Catherine is it's gonna be the same. She's gonna continue to love it as much as Alexander does, you know, because it's such a big difference once you are able to get the help that you need. So
Catherine never wanted to, Catherine didn't have the ambition to apply herself until Redwood, actually. So she would just give up and be exhausted when she came home. And now she applies herself like Alexandra and wants to do things. And she didn't have that. It was very hard to even get her excited about it, school, until Redwood. It was like, oh, I didn't have to say, do you want to do homework? You know, any of that. She totally came home and she wanted to do the best she can do.
My plans for the future are to attend a college prep high school, and it's a very it was a very selective school, and I'm so lucky to get into it. And I feel like without Redwood, I wouldn't be, you know, able to get this chance. So I'm so happy that I'm able to get this chance. And it's also a school for people with learning differences. And yeah.
So I'm attending Woodlands Academy right now. And my plan is to like work harder and just get straight A's and B's. Keep trying.
And you want to go to college after?
Yes, I want to go to NYU because that's one of my dream schools. And